Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Retro Pop Planet. So several months ago, one of my friends asked me, had I ever seen the Foo Fighters documentary, which came out, I believe, in 2011, and I had not. Frankly, I didn't really know where you could find it. He told me that it was available on YouTube and several people had ripped copies of the documentary. I think it was in several different parts, and had posted it to YouTube, so I watched it. Recognizing that I have done several Dave Grohl related videos on this channel, the timing of this video could not be any worse. And I filmed all of this stuff in the summer of 2024 before there was a title shift against Dave Grohl. We're not going to talk about any of that stuff on the channel, so if you are just a Foo Fighters fan, then I think you're going to like these locations, because when I watched that documentary, I realized, hey, I know where a lot of that stuff is, and most of it is pretty close to where I live. Some of the things I've covered before, but I get a more in-depth view, and we're just going to talk a little about some of these locations and how I ended up having to scout a few of them out. I think you're going to like it. Again, if you're a Foo Fighters fan, you probably will enjoy this video. So without further ado, let's get out on the roads of Northern Virginia and see if we can track down some more Foo Fighters locations. We pick up the story around the 37-minute mark of the documentary. It's 1997, and after 2 years of insane touring, Pat Smear leaves the band. With performance commitments, the Foo Fighters need a guitarist. Dave Grohl picks up the phone and calls his old Scream bandmate Franz Stahl, who was on tour in Japan. In 1986, Dave Grohl dropped out of high school to join the band Scream, a local group from Falls Church that he idolized. Scream was founded in 1981 by Skeeter Thompson, Franz, and his brother Pete, and drummer Kent Stax. Both Pete and Franz grew up in Bailey's Crossroads, Virginia, where they attended high school. We are out front of another high school. This is Justice High School, formerly Stewart. If you watched my Doobie Brothers video, this is the same high school that founding drummer John Hartman attended in the 1960s. Scream was a hardcore punk band founded during the explosion of the 80s DC hardcore movement. Amassing quite a following, they became a touring band that performed not just here in the US, but also internationally. When they asked Dave Grohl to come on board, he was only 17. After several years of touring, the band started wearing themselves out, finding themselves in a hole both financially and spiritually. While couch surfing in Los Angeles, Dave took a call that would change the trajectory of his entire musical life, quitting Scream to join a band called Nirvana. Franz would tour with the Foo Fighters through 1998, and due to creative differences with Dave, he was out. Sometime later, Dave was staying with his mother in North Springfield, Virginia, when he got a call from Nate. Sunny Day Real Estate were reuniting, and Nate had decided to rejoin his old band. Okay, we are back in North Springfield, Virginia. Remember, the very noisy Springfield, because the highway's right there. But according to the Back and Forth documentary that came out in 2011, when Nate had the opportunity to rejoin with his bandmates from Sunny Day Real Estate, he took it. He immediately regretted it, but it did not stop Dave to go on a drunken bender where everything felt like it was falling apart with the band. And in that documentary, he said he got a ride from his buddy Jimmy, and they went to the local Ribsters, which I'm gonna try to find. The restaurant no longer exists, but they tied one on. They rented a car. They were driving across people's lawns. And in those scenes, that home video that was taken in that documentary, you can actually see some of the neighborhood here. And he woke up in his mom's house, in his room, his childhood bedroom, and took a call from Nate where he admitted that what he did was stupid and he wanted to come back to the band. But all that was just right up here on the road, and we're actually out of the car this time. So again, all of that drama took place right up in there, right up in that house there. Someone asked me once, do they still own that residence? I don't know. I have no idea. I've looked it up on Zillow and I can't really get a lot of information from it. If you have any idea, let me know. Dumbstruck and having lost multiple band members in just 2 years, Dave decided to go out with an old high school buddy and get drunk. They went to a place in Annandale called H.I. Ribsters, a legendary dive bar and barbecue restaurant where the waitresses wore short skirts. I believe it closed sometime in the year 2006. I can't seem to find any photos from the place when it was in operation, but here's the menu that I found online. So in the rockumentary, when Jimmy picks Dave up, they go out to tie one on at, I think it was called H.I. Ribsters. In the video, he says it's actually Ribsters. I believe it's this building right here. This is the address. This is an Asian restaurant now. I don't know if the building has changed or if it was torn down and this one was built. This actually looks pretty old. I don't know when this restaurant closed, but I looked up on Facebook. There's a lot of people posting some really fond memories of this location. Sounds like a lot of people got drunk here, actually. So from what I can tell, it was like a barbecue joint that doubled as a honky-tonk, where the waitresses dressed pretty skimpily, almost like a Hooters. I believe they wore kilts, if I remember correctly. But this is where Dave and Jimmy got blasted when basically everybody in the band quit. So it's really hard to believe that that scenario took place now almost 25 years ago. Time just really races by. But there is a photo from that rockumentary of him and Jimmy sitting on a stoop. Assuming then that that photo was taken on the stoop here at Ribsters that night. Now there's a stoop here, but it's got a ramp. The curb actually could have been in the front here before all of this emplacement existed. But there you go, H.I. Ribsters. With Nate's return, the Foo Fighters decide to move forward as a 3-person band. For their 3rd studio album, Dave picks a setting far away from the pressures of Hollywood, the suburbs of DC. He buys a house in Alexandria and converts the basement into a 24-track recording studio. In this home, which resembles a treehouse, they produce a soon-to-be multi-Grammy award-winning album. Most of the photos released during this time period are of the band hanging around the house, outside in the streets, and occasionally heading out to the local 7-Eleven for junk food. All right, there is one photo in front of the Nicholson Lane house where Nate, Taylor, and Dave are sitting in front of a car. I think Dave owns the car, and I want to see if I can line that up. This is a private cul-de-sac with other houses in it, and it's literally in the woods, which is why Dave wanted to buy it. Right in front of me here is where that photo of them in the car was taken. They're parked right about where that white SUV is now. There's another photo of the 3 guys lined up and seated on the asphalt next to Dave's car. I'm positioned roughly where the camera would have been. And here's 2 more quick shots of the house and yard before we head to our next location. There's another photo of them walking away from a 7-Eleven, and I really wanted to find this location. This became a bit of an obsession. Basically, I went into Google Maps and typed in 7-Elevens for Alexandria, Virginia. The search rendered all of the different available stores. I was also looking for a gas station. I took the little yellow man into Google Street View and went location by location. I eventually found one located off of King Street, not far from T.C. Williams High School, the subject of the movie Remember the Titans. And here's the store. I thought I'd go inside to see if they had a Mountain Dew Slurpee like Dave is drinking, but no dice. When Dave shared an apartment in Olympia, Washington with Kurt Cobain, they used to live off of cheap corn dogs at the local mini mart. There must be method in consuming cheap eats when recording an album. I got my Slurpee. It's not a Mountain Dew. I guess they don't make Mountain Dew Slurpees anymore, or just in limited batches, but this is a Coca-Cola. All right, this is a pretty busy street corners, but this is about the view you get in the photograph of Taylor, Dave, and Nate crossing the street. There's Nothing Left to Lose was released on November 2nd, 1999, and would win a Grammy for Best Rock Album in 2000. It was the first studio credit for Taylor Hawkins. My favorite Foo Fighters song and video are off of this album, and that's Learn to Fly. The documentary then moves away from Virginia, but I have one more location to show you. We're outside the former location of Inner Ear Studios, and I have some bad news for you. It has been torn down. I knew it would be sometime soon. I read about this last summer. I even did a small YouTube video. If you missed it, I'll link it down below. This was a recording location for many bands, not just DC hardcore and punk bands, but very popular rock bands as well. If you're not familiar, Inner Ear Studios was originally started in Don's basement and spent many years in a commercial space in Arlington, Virginia. In his 40-year history, Don has produced countless albums by bands all over the world, and a few that you may have heard of: The Teen Idols, Minor Threat, State of Alert, Fugazi, Bad Brains, Scream, Bikini Kill, The Foo Fighters, Jimmy Eat World, Group Love, US Royalty, you get the drift. Well, back in 2021, the County of Arlington purchased the building and the lot with the intent of redeveloping the area. The studio has since closed and is now back in Don's basement. The Arlington County owns it, the art section or the art department. They're going to be doing something with it, arts related, which is kind of cool, although it would have been nice for it to have like a memorial or plaque, or just noting that all the different artists and bands that have recorded stuff here. Right behind me, it says demolition in progress, but it looks like it's gone. I don't understand a lot of the redevelopment sometimes. No offense to this business, but that still exists, and Inner Ear is gone. There's also a dog park right there, so they are barking, not at me, at somebody else. But the episode of DC's Foo Fighters Sonic Highways was recorded right here. Luckily, the building still existed on Google Street View, and I took a couple photos here. You could see it really wasn't anything special. All the good stuff was happening on the inside. Okay, so the really cool thing though is that we are maybe 2 blocks from the Weenie Beanie. You know the Weenie Beanie. I showed this in my Dave Grohl video, but you want to see it again, right? Okay guys, welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed me tracking down some of this rock and roll history. Foo Fighters have become kind of a legacy band, and it's amazing that we just don't really have the same type of documentation in this area like you would do out in LA. And just as in Los Angeles, a lot of these buildings have been redeveloped over the years, and we're losing a little bit of that rock and roll history as well here in the Washington, D.C. area. If you liked the video, please give it a like. Please leave me a comment. Subscribe if you're interested in this type of music history. I've got a whole playlist for music and musicians for you to enjoy right here now on the channel. And I've got some cool ones planned in future. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.